When you're pegged as the best running back to come out of Texas since Adrian Peterson, you will have every school in the country beating down your door to join the program. But as we all know, you can only go to one school, and decisions have to be made quick as a limited number of scholarships each season go pretty fast. Of course, the more talented the player, the more willing the top programs are willing to keep a scholarship open. But what happens when a generational talented recruit holds the college football landscape hostage by prolonging his commitment? That is exactly what 5-star running back Zach Evans did during his wild recruitment. And then in this video, we will discuss the timeline to see what happened and how Evans eventually landed up where he did, and it's one of the craziest recruiting stories ever. But first, be sure to subscribe to both this channel and my basketball channel. Give the video a like if you want to support the channel. Drop a comment, share it with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now let's get started and talk about the bizarre recruitment of Zach Evans. The best way to go through this is just to go through the timeline of everything that happened, as it's just a pretty incredible story. On February 8th, 2019, Zach Evans, a highly touted running back from North Shore High School in Houston, Texas, was named the #1 overall prospect in the ESPN Junior 300 rankings. In his junior year in 2018, he rushed for more than 1,700 yards and 29 touchdowns, while helping the Mustangs to a state championship. On May 28th, 2019, Evans would announce his top 5 schools, which included Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. Even so, Evans continued to take visits to schools all around the country, including programs like Texas and Texas A&M in the following month. This was crazy. I don't know why he would do that, especially after he dropped the top 5. This showed early on that he would have commitment issues. On June 7, 2019, Damian George committed to Alabama. A week before this, he told 24/7 Sports that he and George are a package deal. This gave Alabama an apparent inside track to Evans, and earlier that week he had visited the Tide. When you say you're a package deal, it means you're likely going to go with him, so everyone assumed that the big-time running back would be a Crimson Tide commit in the coming weeks or days. But it didn't happen. Let's flash forward a couple weeks to July 26, 2019, as Evans would take an unofficial visit to Georgia, and following the visit, he tweeted himself an image in a Georgia uniform. And I mean, Georgia is a good school at producing running backs, as they've had guys like Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift, and Noshawn Moreno. On September 5th, 2019, if we flash forward a couple months to September 15th, 2019, he missed the second game of the North Shore season for disciplinary reasons after their season opening loss to Katy High School. Their head coach said, quote, "We're working through some things, but we love him to death. He's a great teammate, and we're going to continue to work." He was also apparently going to commit that day as well, but of course that didn't happen. This right there showed he had a little bit of character issues, but the head coach really would not allude to what was going on. Just over 2.5 weeks later, he tweeted, "I've decided," but there was no announcement date that was indicated. After missing 2 games, he returned to the North Shore lineup on September 27th, and he rushed for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 8 carries in a 56-3 win over LaPorte High School. On October 26, 2019, Evans would take an official visit to LSU. This is another school that's put so many running backs in the NFL, such as Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Nick Brossette, Jeremy Hill. The list goes on and on. But at the time, the Tigers are in the midst of a historic season led by Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and a loaded defense, and now LSU is heavily in the mix. But he wouldn't commit. On November 15th, he'd take an official visit to Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher and his staff had been persistent in their recruiting of Evans, and now they had left the door cracked open for him despite them not being in his final 5. On December 1st, he said he'll announce on December 4th where he is going to school. The finalists that were listed had been narrowed to 4. And unlike his summer top 5, an in-state school had finally been included. It included Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Texas A&M as the 4 finalists. On December 3rd, he changed the course and decided to delay his announcement, meaning he probably didn't know where he wanted to go or he had some sort of last-second thing that held him back. He now said he will make his commitment during the Under Armour All-American game, in which he would play on January 2nd, and that was his new announcement date. At this point, this dude has no idea what he's doing. He clearly has commitment issues and has no clue where he wants to go. On December 14th, he actually tried to graduate early in hopes of being able to be an early enrollee at the school of his choice, so he missed the first half of his state semifinal game because he was taking the ACT to try to qualify. He would take the test in Houston before he would travel to Round Rock, Texas, where the game was being held. Despite missing much of the game, he finished with 176 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on 16 carries in the second half and a 49-38 win. On December 19th, the early signing period began, and he actually quietly signed and sent a letter of intent to Georgia, and he was going to announce them publicly at the Under Armour All-American game. On December 21st, his high school was pursuing a 2nd consecutive state title, but he will not play in it. He was sent home by the coaches before the game for violating team rules, but his Mustangs would still go on to beat Duncanville in the state championship game without the star running back, and now he had had multiple run-ins with his coaching staff and his teammates. On December 28th, during a check-in at the Under Armour All-American game, Evans confirmed that he had officially signed his letter of intent during the early signing period and would announce that. But on January 2nd, another curveball is thrown as he reportedly changed gears and decided not to announce his decision. He gives an on-camera interview to ESPN during the game, with Deion Sanders sitting next to him, and Evans issues an apology, saying, quote, "First and foremost, I just want to apologize to my college coaches for everything that is going on and what they're hearing. I'm a really good kid, and I came in and learned from some former professionals about how to overcome adversity. I made some stupid decisions, and I'm ready to compete at the next level." January 7th is when the spring semester will begin at Georgia, and they release him from his letter of intent. He's no longer the top-ranked player in his class, but he is still the top-ranked running back prospect in the country. LSU and Texas A&M are considered among the candidates to land him. Because he had already signed a letter of intent, he could not sign another during the recruiting cycle even though he was released. Then things start to get really weird. On January 17th, he took an official visit to Ole Miss. On January 24th, he took an official visit to Tennessee. At this point, the guy's had like 5 different top 5s, and he's visited like 15 different schools. He's had 5 different commitment dates. So I have no clue what was going on. On February 5th, the regular signing period had begun, but there was no announcement from Evans on what he was doing. With the spring semester enrollment deadline passing at most schools, he'd have to wait to enroll of his choice of a school for the summer. On February 10th, he posted an Instagram story asking people to message him who could make him a highlight tape, giving his followers in the world the idea that he was ready to commit soon. On February 19th, just over a week later, a report from 24/7 Sports indicated that he had scheduled his 5th and final official visit to Florida on March 30th. I really have no clue what was going on with this guy at this point, and even I didn't know this recruiting situation was that bizarre then. On March 13th, 2020, the NCAA suspended in-person recruiting for reasons we obviously all know about, so he could not take his last official visit until the recruiting ban was lifted. Then 2 months go by, and all of a sudden we're hit with a bombshell as Zach Evans would enroll at TCU, a school which he was never linked to during his recruiting process, and his wild recruiting story had ended there. He was the first 5-star recruit to sign with the Horned Frogs since ESPN began giving rankings more than over a decade ago, and despite the guy visiting like 15 schools, changing his commitment date multiple times, having run-ins with his coaching staff, and misleading pretty much everyone in the college football world, he decided to go to TCU, which was literally out of left field. He played a little bit last year and will definitely be a big piece in TCU's future running game, but if the past predicts the future, I will say if he runs into any sort of adversity, he will transfer to another school and could be one of those guys that plays at like 4 different schools in 5 years. Zach Evans had a wild end to his high school career and even wilder timeline of his recruitment, and it was all just to end up in his home state of Texas for a school that for the most part was not even a serious contender. TCU fans lucked out, and they're probably delighted to know that they got a game changer at the running back position, and I hope he's a really good player for years to come. Let me know what you guys think though. This is one of the weirdest recruiting stories I have ever heard, and it is 10 times weirder than the Brew McCoy video that I did earlier in the year. And honestly, what do you guys think of this whole story? Let me know if I should do more videos like this, and hit that like button if you want to support what I'm doing here on YouTube or this kind of topic. Subscribe if you have not already, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about what happened to Kenny Hill. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.